Welcome everybody to the 49th Annual General Meeting of Mind in Cambridgeshire, Peterborough and South Lincolnshire. My name is Alan Tate and I'm Chair of Trustees, and it's my privilege to be guiding us through the formal business that we have in our Annual General Meeting for the first part of today's business. The second half will be an introduction to CPSL Mind's new strategy and reflections on 2019 to 2021. Can we have the next slide?
Has that worked?
No.
No, okay, hold on, two seconds. Bear with me, sorry, apologies. I think this is...
Well, I'll press on while you're struggling with that, Kate.
Okay, sorry.
So amongst trustees, we've had apologies from Ollie Biswa, and Richard Young has told us he won't be able to arrive until the second part of the meeting. Just in terms of formal rules, so to speak, I should let you know that this meeting is being recorded, and I hope you are happy with that. If not, I'm not sure what we can do about that, but we need to record it for the sake of the records. And can I ask you during business to put your hand up? There's a put your hand up function if you want to speak. That would be very helpful. But I'm sure we can manage if you can't find that just by waving at me or interrupting even. So can I take you to the first item of business? I'm assuming everybody has an agenda. I just want to emphasize how important this meeting is. It's dry business, if you like, but it's actually formally very important. And for trustees and members, this is at the core of our legal responsibilities, this agenda today. So I'm grateful for your time and for your attention to the business we have in front of us. So there are the rules, just to put them in front of you. And here is our agenda. So we've got our business meeting, the AGM, the Annual General Meeting, first of all. Then we have a short break, an introduction to our new strategy and reflections on the last 2 years. Okay, so can I go to the next item of business, which are our minutes. The minutes of the 48th Annual General Meeting, which took place on the 29th of June, online as we are today. And can I ask, first of all, for those members and trustees who were present, if we're happy to accept those as a correct record. So I'm just looking, perhaps you could put some comments in the chat or give me some thumbs up. Can't actually find the participants. Here we are. Let's see if I can should be able to put the see all participants on, but I can't. So let me put it the other way around. If anybody is unhappy about these minutes being a correct record, could they please speak up now? Okay. So I'm assuming then that we are happy with these as a correct record, and I would ask that we formally accept them. Could I have a proposer to accept and a seconder to accept these minutes as a correct record? Could I have a proposer, please, from amongst trustees and members? Anybody off?
Propose. Maria speaking here.
Thank you very much, Maria. Thank you. And could I have a seconder, please?
Seconded.
Thank you very much, Emmanuel. So we have a proposer and a seconder that we adopt the minutes as a correct record, and I now propose, in the absence of any objections, to move forward and do that. So, Kaylee, we have now accepted the records. Can I move us now to the annual report? This is in the document that you have, Trustees Report and Financial Statements, and the report begins on page 2 of that document with an overview which sets out the work that CPSL Mind has been doing, records our beneficiaries, records our approach to values-based practice, looks at our reach and our impact, puts an emphasis on co-production, which is an important part of our core values and our core practice, the contribution made by volunteers, I hope we have some of those with us today, and a range of other issues, including progress against our strategic roles. So I'm assuming that colleagues have had members and trustees have had a chance to read this report. And once again, let me see, first of all, if there are any questions that colleagues have before I ask if we can formally adopt this as a record of our work. Any questions or comments members or trustees wanted to make? Okay, in the absence of any comments, I would like us to accept this annual report. And again, once again, I would need a proposer and a seconder in order that we formally accept it as a record of our work. So could I have a proposer?
Alex has just raised his hand. If you want
Great.
to say something.
Thank you very much, Alex. Oh, Alex, did you want to make a comment?
No, just happy to propose acceptance.
Great, thank you very much, Alex. And a seconder, please.
Sharon's put in the chat, happy to second.
Great, thank you very much, Sharon. So I have a proposer and a seconder. I can't see you or ask you all to speak, so I'm going to have to do it the other way round in a way and say, does anybody object to us receiving and adopting this annual report as a record of our work? So in the absence of objections, I'm going to move formally to accept it. Thank you very much indeed. Now, the second part of that paper concerns the financial report. And here, I think we have a separate presentation by our Director of Finance, David Holdworth. And I'm going to ask David to take the control of the meeting now.
Good afternoon, everybody. Nice to see a few of you. Can everybody see the screen? AGM 29th of March, accounts for 21-22.
Yes, thank you.
Lovely, thank you very much. Okay, that's good. So yes, as our chair stated, this is the dry bit, and unfortunately this is the driest bit, and I'll try to make it really punchy so we can go through it. And ahead of approving the accounts, it's always important really to have a bit of a brief summary as to what happened in the year in question, which is actually, it says so on there. It's the accounts for 2020-21, not for 21-22, because we haven't finished that year yet. So I'm glad I spotted that before anyone else did, but I'm sure you'll tell me about that. So we are looking to approve the accounts and also the report, which we've already done for 2020-21. You should all have had a copy, but for those who are not really comfortable looking through the second half of the accounts, I'll give us a very sort of brief run through. Again, I sort of wouldn't really want it all to be on a table, but I sort of would like to show the balance sheet, as it were. That tends to be the most important part of the document. It sort of tells you really the financial health of the organization, one little page with it on. And actually we're looking on the sort of left hand side of the table, 2021, the light yellow there. So looking down there, basically, just to put it in some sort of context, the reason we call it a balance sheet is the top 3/4 are the sort of the assets of the business, if you like, and the bottom quarter is the funds that we have that should balance with it. So hopefully, if we're doing all our accountancy right, we've got one and the other. And so one of the things we always like to look at are the sort of funds over time. So we've got the accounts running from 2018. And the reason that year was chosen, because that was when Mind in Cambridgeshire and Peterborough and Fenland Mine merged to form CPSL Mind. So it makes a sort of a sensible comparison along those days. Looking at it then, that's the yellow colour is the 2021 year end, and that's what we're seeking to approve. Because we're almost at the end of the year 2022, I have had a bit of a guess at what we'll have for this current year. And you can appreciate they're all round numbers, so you know it's a guess. But hopefully we're going to stay very much similar. And I think stability is the sort of watchword really over the past few years, because as probably hasn't yet been alluded to, but will do, we've had 2 years of the pandemic, and we've been very resilient within that time. But the balance sheet quite important. But I'll take you through the bits and pieces. We look at At the top part of the balance sheet, we have a sort of a large section on working capital. And the important bit there is this is about the debtors, those who owe us the money, and the creditors, people we owe money to. And I do apologize if I'm not trying to patronize people, if you understand this, but just trying to give you a view over time. One of the things we've done is been able to help the cash position by making sure we chase up the debtors and we get paid as soon as we can. That money is better off in our account, where we can help people that we see, as opposed to sat in someone else's. And of course, on the creditors side, we're as an ethical company, our aim is to pay our creditors, our suppliers, within at least 30 days. And if they're small community organizations that are struggling and ask us to pay them more quickly, we'll do that. So that creditor line is actually going up. It's actually shrinking over time because it's sort of a minus figure on the balance sheet. So we're doing the right thing in both areas there. If we look at as we look after those sort of things and we look at cash, then we'll see where we're able to maintain appropriate cash balances. And I think it's sort of important to remember that some of those cash balances, some of the money that's within that cash is money that we're sort of holding to do work in advance for some of the funders. So it's not idle sums of money there that we can do something with. Although the trustees have had a conversation, and we do want to think about if there are better ways that we can invest this money than just have it in a bank that are secure and risk-free. So it's something that we sort of do think about as a group. But as you can see over time, the cash balances are holding up fairly strongly. The bottom half of the balance sheet, if you remember, it was about the funds. So this is these are the sort of funds that our charity holds. And what you can see in the graph on the left-hand side, the yearly movement in funds, is it does seem to be a bit of a bumpy ride. And for those of you in the know with charity accounting, that tends to be a function of the way income has to be treated. So it sort of gets treated most often in the year you receive it, which might not actually be the year you spend it. So it can sometimes give a distorted view. I think the thing to note overall on that report of funds is that over the 5 years, where we've improved it by 178,000. It's not massive, but we're not here to make massive profits or grow the funds. We're here to deploy them correctly for the purpose intended. So that's really the funds. You can see on the funds as well. We have a breakdown analysis of funds. We've got the restricted funds, which are money that we're holding specifically for a project, and our funders are very clear that it can only be used for that. The rest of it is unrestricted funds, but interestingly, within that we have designated funds that are attributed by the trustees for specific purposes, and then we have a charitable reserve, which is for other non-restricted funds, which leaves us about, as we saw from the graph, about £350,000, which are, if you like, free reserves or general reserves that the trustees can choose to use for strategic investments in developing the business. And that's happened quite a bit over the past couple of years. So we want to keep that healthy. If we drill down into 2021-22, which is the current year that we're in, we look first at the total income and see how that has grown over the years. We can see that's grown by actually 26% since 2017-18. Slight dip, but it's moved slowly upwards. Not massively, not hugely, but sort of it's in a flexible, managed way. If you look at the type of income on the right-hand side of the table, most of our income comes in grants. We're not as dependent upon donations and fundraising and training, which makes up the bulk of our other income. But mostly over the 3 years, we've grown that grant space, and we've got some excellent new grants, new services such as the Starting Well initiative, which you may hear more about in the second part of the meeting. We've got things like Discharge Buddies, the Sanctuary Plus, where we've developed and grown or set up new projects which have attracted funding, and in some cases longer term. When we look at, and we always tend to look at, so if you move away from the grants, we look at two areas, fundraising and training, which are more on the commercial side. We go out and we hustle and do all those sort of things to actually get money in for our charity, and look at those over time. It's quite interesting. I mean, we've been wonderfully supported by corporate donors over the past few years. We've also managed to develop what we call the community fundraising side of it, and a lot of that's come from the development of the platforms from Just Giving and our involvement in the Cambridge Half Marathon, things like that. We've got an excellent manager in charge of that now, and he may well have a chance to speak later in the day. We don't know. Looking at the training department as well, we talked about that last year. We had this slide up last year that when it just went to 2021, and we saw that how the commercial training, when we went into COVID, collapsed. Nothing really to do with us. That was just the market. And so it was a question of working hard to try to deliver training in the online way, but also to make sure we deliver training and build for the future. And you can see now in 21, 22, how that's doubled from what it was when it dropped down for the first year of the pandemic. So we've been successful there, although some of the grants and trusts that we received as a one-off in 2021, we've not necessarily been able to replicate. So we've got that mix of income, which has kept us strong over the years. Now we've got a summary here, and we can have a look at this. I'll get to the end of this and call on the Treasurer, Maria Huber, actually to say a few words to sum up. But shamefully, this is almost the same page as was put up at the end of the presentation last year, because in a sense, not a lot of things have changed massively. We've had to cope for a second year in the pandemic, but we're getting better at doing that. And things are starting to move when we thought maybe last year they were just in their early stages. So we've been financially resilient. We've responded to that, adapting our ways of working. You've seen the reserves, and they're sufficient to cover what we call reasonable future volatility. And the key revenue streams, you can see it with the grants, that's held up, and we're starting to see clear signs of improvement now in other areas as well. So we're well supported, the foundations are in place, and I will make the point, and I think everyone else will make the point. We've got an amazing staff team here, talented, caring, committed, responsive, flexible, absolutely a great team that has shown that they can do wonderful things and really adapt and progress. So, but again, bottom half always just pulls it back again, doesn't it? No time to be complacent, difficult outlook. We'll have to remain critical looking at the finances, but with the opportunities for investment, they'll be considered to support the long-term viability. So it's now got, looking at those 4 or 5 year trends, it's quite a steady picture for our charity, and I think it's good future to go forward, forward to. And if I could call on the Treasurer, ask the Treasurer, Maria, to say a few words, that would be helpful.
Thank you, David. I think you've summarised the numbers and the position very nicely and very clearly, as usual. Now, in the Finance and Resources Working Group, we've been looking at the numbers pretty much every month, and sometimes, when things were particularly turbulent, way more often than normal. So I think I can say with quite confidence that there is much to be proud of in here. Resilience, financial resilience in such turbulent times is absolutely essential for an organisation that is here to stay. And it doesn't just happen. It takes a lot of work to make that happen, to get there, to manage our resources well, to maximise the impact that we're having for our community, and make sure that we're not living beyond our means when everything, the revenues and the cost, is so difficult to predict. To do that so well takes a lot of effort, and I think I can speak for everyone in the Finances and Resources Group or the trustees when we say a big thank you to David in particular, to the SLT, and to all of the staff really, because this takes absolutely everyone in the organisation behaving really well, being responsible in their financial management, being critical with what they're doing, and very adaptable in very difficult times. If everyone does that, then you may, with a little bit of headwind, just end up in the kind of position that we're in. And as far as anyone can tell, we are weathering the storm very well. We're not out of the wood yet. Turbulent times are still ahead, I'm sure. The world hasn't exactly calmed down, but I think we're in as good a position as one could be to manage that, to really have a strong balance sheet that allows us to put the strategy that we're about to share with you into place and to continue all the good work that's already happening and make sure that next year and the year after that and the 10 years after that, we can still have these kinds of conversations about how we really make a difference for our community. Are there any questions?
Thank you very much, Maria. So CPSL Mind actually owes a great debt to David and to Maria for the work they do, because the effective management of funds is a necessary condition for any of the work we want to do. So it's absolutely crucial. So yes, can we move to ask if there are any questions about the accounts which David presented or the comments that Maria made? I don't know if there's any coming up on the chat. I can't spot any. Okay, so if none, I need to ask for a proposer and a seconder once again to receive and adopt these accounts for the year ended 31st of March 2021. Could I have a proposer, please, from amongst the trustees and members?
Alex has raised his hand.
Thank you very much, Alex. That's really helpful. And a seconder?
Happy to second.
Thank you very much, Anna. That's great. Okay, so because I can't see you all, I've got to ask, does anybody object to approving these accounts? Okay, in the absence of objections, then I take it that we are happy to receive and adopt these accounts for the year ended 31st of March 2021. Thank you. So it's a very important formal bit of business. Thank you to David and Maria for helping us with that. So we now move to agenda item 5, which is around trustees. And Maria, I'm going to have to call on you here again. So we need to consider the re-election of current trustees, all of whom are happy to stand. Now, I can't do that for myself, Maria, properly. So I wonder if you would just manage the business and ask the trustees and members if they want to elect me to continue as a trustee.
Yes, of course, Chair. Are we happy to do that? Anyone against? If not, can I have a proposer, please?
Happy to propose.
Thank you, Debbie. Can I have a seconder, please? Thank you, Alex. Again, just to double check, anyone against? So that's proposed and seconded, Alan.
Thank you very much indeed, Maria. I should add that Maria has been very kindly standing in as vice chair, and that's relevant to the next little bit of business. Andrea Grosbois will take all these other current trustees together, but I should tell you that Andrea is on maternity leave at present and will be returning in September after a maternity leave, and Maria has been very kind to stand up and help as vice chair. So we now have the remaining trustees, which I can manage: Andrea Grosbois, Maria Huber, Sharon Guilfoyle, Richard Young, Carol Clark, Deborah Richards, Louise Adcock and Anna Granta, all of whom are happy to stand and serve further as your trustees. Can I ask outside that group for a proposer and a seconder?
Alex has proposed.
Great, Alex. Thank you very much. You're really, really helpful doing that. And a seconder? Well, I'm happy to second.
I second that.
Ah, thank you, Emmanuel. That's great. Okay, so that's Alex and Emmanuel. So are there any, once again, I can't see you all, so I'll have to ask, are there any objections to that list of trustees continuing to serve? If none, I take it that our trustees and members have duly elected Andrea, Maria, Sharon, Richard, Carol, Deborah, Louise and Anna to continue as trustees. Thank you very much, and a great team they are. Now we now come to an exciting part of the agenda, which is new trustees, and we have 3 going forward for election today. Ollie Biswas, who is unhappily unable to be present today, Emmanuel Arekobe, and Alex Page, all of whom have started working with us, and I can, with warm feelings, recommend them to you. But I need from amongst the current trustees and members a proposer and a seconder that they are elected as trustees.
Happy to propose, Alan.
So I'm going to take all three together. Maria, so if you're willing to propose, yes, thank you. And I need a seconder.
Happy to second, Alan.
Thank you, Debbie. Thank you very much. Once again, are there any objections to Ollie, Emmanuel or Alex joining the Board of Trustees? In the absence of objections, then I take it that members and trustees have elected Ollie, Emmanuel and Alex as members, and I'm great to have them on board because they've already been doing making a great contribution. Okay, so we now come to the elected positions amongst the trustees, of whom I'm one, so I'm going to have to ask you to step in again, Maria, please, if I may. So we've got the chair of trustees, who currently is me, so we need to see whether you want me to continue to do that. Then the vice chair of trustees, Andrea, when she returns from her maternity leave, the treasurer, Maria. So Maria, could I hand over to you for the position that I am willing to continue in?
Thank you, Alan, and thank you for being willing to do so. Can I please have a proposer for Alan to remain our chair?
Sure, happy to.
Thank you. And may I have a seconder?
Happy to second.
Thank you very much. And I think I've also seen hands go up on the screen here. So Alan, I think your work is clearly being appreciated and we want you to stay.
Thank you very much. I must say it's a privilege to be chair of trustees for CPSL Mind. I must say I find it a most, what's the word? Fulfilling organisation to work with. I'm always amazed by the innovation and the hard work of the colleagues as well as the trustees. Right, so we now continue then with the other three positions, vice chair, treasurer, and two positions, vice chair and treasurer. So while Maria is standing as acting vice chair, I think formally speaking, we need to re-elect Andrea Grosbois as vice chair once she returns from maternity leave, and Maria Huber as our treasurer. So could I ask for a proposer and a seconder for those two positions?
Happy to propose.
Thank you very much. Carol, a seconder.
Happy to second.
Thank you very much, Debbie. Are there any objections to Andrea and Maria continuing in those roles? Okay, if not, then I take it that the members and trustees are happy that Andrea and Maria continue in those roles, and very valuable roles. They fulfill them in a very valuable way, so it'd be great to work with for me as chair. Okay, so that is nearly the end of the formal business, but we thought you might like to meet our new trustees. And so while Ollie, you can't meet Ollie today, Ollie Biswas, you can meet Emmanuel and Alex. And I wonder if you'd just like to take a couple of minutes, Emmanuel and Alex, just introduce yourselves to members, trustees, and indeed the members of staff who are participating and watching this AGM today, just so that they can meet you. Emmanuel, do you want to go first?
I think we maybe need to start with Alex. Alan.
Okay, let's start with Alex then. Alex, are you there?
I certainly am. Hi, colleagues.
Brilliant.
Thank you very much indeed for the election. I'll be really brief as to who I am. So I first came to CPSL Mind as a service user some 4 or 5 years ago, and since then I've worked as a volunteer. I've been involved in co-production, and I'm now really proud to be involved as a trustee as well. Which means it's been my absolute privilege to work with familiar faces that I see both from the SLT and both from people who I've worked with previously, which is really exciting to see people here. I think it's a really exciting organisation to be a part of. In terms of my day job, I'm a trade union official in the finance sector, which means that kind of the expertise that I bring in are focused around, perhaps unsurprisingly, HR and industrial relations, and also finances as well. So massive thank you to everyone for electing me in, as it were.
Great to have you with us, Alex. You're already making a very strong contribution, so tremendous. Okay, is Emmanuel there, or has he slipped out of the room? He's either slipped out of the room or wrestling with Teams, one or the other. So we'll move on then and finish with the new trustees item, agenda item 5. So one last bit of formal business, agenda item 6, appointment of auditors and solicitors. Now the auditors, which I'm going to ask you to elect to be our auditors, are ASETs. Now those of you with a keen memory will remember that we have been audited by Chater Allen up till now, and we're changing auditors, not because of any dissatisfaction with Chater Allen, on the contrary, that we've worked well with them, but because it's good practice to change auditors every few years, because you shouldn't build up too close a relationship with your auditors. So the first item of business then is that we elect new auditors, ASETs, and the second item of business is that we continue with our solicitors, Hewittsons. They've both agreed, with whom we work very well, they've both agreed that they are willing to continue to work with us. So could I ask from trustees and members for a proposer and a seconder that we continue with ASETs? We take on ASETs as auditors and continue with Hewittsons as solicitors. A proposer and a seconder.
Happy to propose, Alan.
Thank you very much, Maria. And a seconder.
I can second.
Thank you very much. Was that Anna? I couldn't see.
Yeah.
Great, thank you, Anna. I just need that for the record. Okay, are there any objections? There are none. So I take it then that we are happy, trustees and members, to move forward and appoint ASETs as our auditors and Hewittsons as our solicitors. Thank you. Okay, so that is the end of the formal business, and we have got through that quite rapidly, which is extraordinary. But I should give you a chance, anybody who's listening in or watching, are there any questions about that formal business that we've just been through that I can help with? Okay, if not, that concludes the annual general meeting for 2022. Thank you very much for your attention. We're going to take 5 minutes now as a short break before we move forward to learn about our new strategy and some reflections on 2019 to 2021, which has been quite a period, as you'll all agree. So if you take 5 minutes now, we will come back at 20 to 3. So if you just leave the link open, that's where you'll find us again very shortly.
Hello, everyone. My name's Ali Anderson, and I'm CEO of CPSL Mind. Welcome back to the second half of our AGM, during which we are really excited to be able to share our new organisational strategy with you. Now, I appreciate that the word strategy doesn't necessarily get everyone excited, but we hope that this afternoon's showcase will really enthuse you around the direction in which CPSL Mind will be going over the next 3 years. So over the next hour, or perhaps slightly under, we're going to be giving you the highlights of our new strategy, and we're going to focus in particular on our equality, diversity and inclusion ambitions. We're going to share some examples of where we're already increasing the reach and accessibility of our services. And then finally, we're going to share a short film with you that reflects on our impact during the past 3 years. So that's since we launched our previous strategy back in 2019. So our new strategy is called Connecting Across Our Communities for Better Mental Health. And it's been developed over the past year or so following a wide range of discussions and consultations and conversations right across CPSL Mind, but also our wider community. And what we wanted to do with this strategy is really build on the work that we've been doing over the past 3 years. So the intention is to take our existing co-produced strategy to the next level, if you like. Consequently, our vision remains the same. And our vision is a society in which everyone has positive mental health and feels part of a connected community. And our mission in the context of that vision across Cambridgeshire, Peterborough and South Lincolnshire has got 3 elements. So the first is around providing person-centred support to those with poor mental health, but also to support those with positive mental health to stay well. And then finally, it's to inspire connections right across our diverse community and eliminate mental health related stigma for the benefit of everyone's mental health. So for the next 3 years, we've set ourselves 4 strategic goals, and these are going to set the path for what we do over the next 3 years, but also these are the goals we're going to hold ourselves to account on over the next 3 years. So the first one, goal number 1, is around increasing the reach and accessibility of our services. The second one focuses on providing strength-based, holistic and trauma-informed approaches with a particular emphasis on connecting people and facilitating peer support. Our third goal continues our work around our campaigns and awareness raising. So it's about challenging the attitudes and behaviours that prevent open conversations around our mental health. And then finally, we have a separate goal, which is around supporting local employers to create mentally healthy workplaces. What we've also done is identify 3 core strategic priorities, all of which begin with the letter I, because we like a little bit of alliteration. So that's inclusion, innovation, and influence. So the inclusion strategic priority is about meeting the needs of minority groups and addressing health inequalities. Innovation element is going to have a particular emphasis on co-production and peer support. And then influence, that's about us standing up for what we believe during this period of really significant change across our local health and social care systems. And then finally, running right through all of these priorities, we felt it was really important that we as an organisation took responsibility to recognise the climate emergency. So running through everything will be a proactive approach around reducing our carbon footprint, but also about respecting and celebrating the natural environment and its impact on mental well-being. So for the rest of this afternoon, we're going to be focusing in particular on our strategic priority of inclusion. And I'm delighted to now hand over to Kate Bede, our new Head of Equality, Diversity, Inclusion and Engagement. Over to you, Kate.
Thank you, Ali, and good afternoon, everybody. How lovely to see so many people here in the Zoom. And I know a lot of people know me, but as Ali said, I'm Kate Bede, and I'm really thrilled to be the head of new Head of Equality, Diversity, Inclusion at CPSL Mind. It's an agenda that I'm so passionate about and have worked on for, gosh, about past 20 odd years, I guess. And as you can see, it's really at the centre of our new strategy. It's the heart of all of our work going forward. And our focus is to connect more with our community and to work with individuals and community groups to better understand difference, to better understand lived experience and strengths and challenges and needs, or in other words, to be curious and learn from our community. And we know that certain parts of our community experience real inequalities when it comes to accessing support that works for them. One size does not fit all, and this has a huge detrimental effect on people's mental health. So we will work hard to better understand our community and work collectively to develop support that is inclusive and strengths-based. And as you'll now hear from the stories we are sharing, we have already successfully started working in this way. We've got a wealth of things to share with you, and we invite comments and questions in the chat. So we'll be monitoring that throughout. But if we do run out of time and not able to answer anything, then we will reply to you afterwards. So don't worry about that. So use the chat function so that we can make this a bit interactive. I'm going to hand over now to Alan Hughes, who's our co-production lead. So Alan's role includes managing the Good Life Fund, which is part of our Good Life service, and it's funded by Cambridgeshire County Council, the CCG and Peterborough City Council. Over to you, Alan.
Hi guys, thanks for having me. I was wondering if you can see that. Can you
It
see
takes a
my...
while to load, Alan, so you might have to add dib for a few seconds whilst when it comes up. It will start, I'm sure. There we go.
Yeah, great. So, guys, as I said, I just wanted to give you an update on the Good Life Fund and the work we've done in 2021, moving into 2022. The Good Life Fund started in January of 2021. It offers grants of up to £500 for people in Cambridgeshire and Peterborough. And pleased to say, talking to Lisa, that it's soon to be in South Links, which is great news. To help set up groups, activities and events that connect the local community, improve well-being, build on strengths and hopefully learn something new. The Good Life Fund is a co-produced element of the Good Life service, including the application process, paperwork. The co-production team continue to support us by signing off the applications. So thank you for your support. We couldn't have done that without you guys. So we continue to promote, push the fund, getting people talking about it, seeing our assets, leaflets, communications with networks, and of course our social media has been key. One really important highlight is that we've been able to work and have the opportunity to work alongside, build new relationships with those from diverse backgrounds in the county, such as the Timorese, Black, and also the Eastern European community. Something we are really proud of in just our first year. So far, we have supported 19 groups, activities and events in the county. Yes, 19.
Alan, sorry, can I just interrupt, because the slides are not loading very well.
Oh, are they not?
No, it's really blurry content. So I'm just going to see if we can, if Nick, have you got them to share?
Yeah, if I stop sharing.
If you stop sharing, we'll get Nick to share and be your clicker person, as they say on the news. Next slide, please, Nick.
Please.
And we'll just, so because I know your content's really important, you know, you've made a lot of really good points there, so it'd be important for people to see. Just bear with us.
No.
Are you seeing that yet?
Yeah, we're getting there. Yep. It's just taking a while to load, guys. Just bear with us.
Yeah, so if you can just go on
Right, there you go.
on slideshow mode, then that's much better.
That'll be better if we can.
Just at the top, Nick. Or at the bottom.
Sorry, it is showing that on me, but from current slide.
Yeah, it takes a...
There we go.
Are we in?
Thank you, Nick.
Yeah, so sorry about that, guys. The internet is playing up typically when you have an AGM. So far, yeah, we've supported 19 groups, activities and events in the county. There we go, up to speed. So, yeah, we've supported 19 groups, activities and events in the county, ranging from a community cafe in the village of Eye in rural Cambs, where opportunities to connect are few and far between, forest school activities for mums in Huntingdon, a cycling group in Wisbeach for young adults in supported accommodation. And next slide, please, Nick.
That's the Huntingdon one. Do you want the next one, Alan?
Sorry, yeah, it's not loading up on my screen, but yeah, so if you just run through them, Nick, if you can.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've done healthy food and mood courses with the Latvian and Eastern European community, creative space cafe in Haddenham, Ely, offering peer support and various arts and crafts, a community garden in Hilton Village, Huntingdonshire, bringing together those in the village to combat isolation through gardening, and a sports activity group and family fun at Ferry Meadows with Lara. So we hope to continue to build trust and relationships with people, see more groups develop, give people opportunity to create an event to raise awareness and start conversations on mental health, or even a safe space where peers can support each other in the area they live in while painting a picture or doing something similar. After the last 2 years, the Good Life Fund is more important than ever to the community we work alongside. So let's build on this for year 2 with more options for the community. And I think that's all I really need to say. I'll end these highlights with a video catching up with Lara in Peterborough to hear about their Good Life Fund journey. So thanks for that, guys. I think
Rob, are you able to share the
Rob,
video?
have you got the video to share?
Yep, sorry, it's just on the way. Making sure I click the right buttons. There we go. Can you see that?
Yeah, thanks.
I think with the Good Life Fund, we got more than I was expecting.
So can you tell us a little bit about your activities that you did?
So it was a well-being project. The good thing about what we did was it came from sort of feedback from the young people, sort of saying this is what we're struggling with and this is what we need.
So thinking about the application, how did you feel, or how did your group feel when you were successful?
Lovely to be able to get this fund, seeing that we could now go back to the community, to the young people who had given the idea, to say yes, we'll be able to do that project. It was absolutely lovely. So one example is that to be able to see how just a young child saying, oh, someone that looks like me is playing the guitar, I can do it as well. Amazing. Told his mom bought it, and in their home they can see the anxiety and the levels that he used to be reduced in his in his behavior.
So talking about your group and the activities you've done, what is next? What is next for your Ferry Meadows group?
A sports project. So sort of wanting to do basketball, football, even the aerobics.
What advice would you give anyone applying to the Good Life Fund?
I think they should definitely go for it. The fact that you would have that help to be able to, even the discussion to say, this is what we have in mind, and then you will be able to say, this is what the funds will cover. I think that is fantastic. So to be able to go, if you need funding, go for it, because you'll get help and a discussion and a point of contact to be able to talk to, which I think makes a huge difference.
And thanks to Alan, I know how much hard work you've put in getting that off the ground. And I just think it goes to show how powerful it is to, work with grassroots community groups. People know what they need, and with a little bit of support and help, then they can make a real big difference. And that peer-to-peer support is invaluable, isn't it? So thanks very much, Alan. And now we're going to talk about the development of our Stop Suicide campaign. I'm delighted to introduce Rob Earl, our communications and campaigns manager. Over to you, Rob.
Thanks, Kate. Nice to see everybody. Just going to bring up my slides now, so bear with me just one moment. Okay, hopefully you can all see that now. Yeah, so today, as Kate said, I'm going to be talking about our Stop Suicide campaign. So firstly, just wanted to say, if anybody finds any of the content of this section upsetting, because suicide can be a challenging subject, obviously, and it can bring up challenging feelings for people. If you need to step away at all, or need to turn off your camera, or need any kind of support, then just let us know in the chat and we'll pick up a conversation with you. But yeah, what we've been doing with Stop Suicide is obviously trying to challenge stigma around suicide and open up conversations about the subject of suicide that can keep people safe. Stop Suicide has been running since 2014 now, quite unbelievably, and it's been a leading campaign in the suicide prevention space. What the campaign does, just to give you a bit of context if you're not too familiar with it, is to kind of flip the conversation on its head. A lot of campaigns and awareness programs very much focus their attention on encouraging somebody who might be feeling suicidal or struggling with their mental health to be the person to then reach out and seek support in other people. And we felt that that is obviously very difficult for somebody who's experiencing those feelings to then have that pressure on them to be the one to go and seek help. And although we do still encourage that, what Stop Suicide tries to do is equip everybody else in the community with the abilities and the skills and the knowledge to be able to recognize warning signs in others. And we try to increase their knowledge and understanding of how to then approach that conversation about suicide in a direct way. So if they're worried about someone, to be able to ask directly about suicide. And these three aims that you can see on the screen now have always remained consistent in what we've been trying to achieve. And what's changed and evolved over the years is how we approach that awareness raising, how we focus on different demographics. And I'm just going to talk through now some of the work that we've done over the past couple of years, including the period that our annual impacts report focuses on, which is 2020-2021. So we've had several iterations of the campaign going on during that time, and these have focused particularly on men and Eastern European communities in our area. Through the suicide data that we receive from the County Council and other bodies that we work with, we could see that these were two demographics who have particular risk of suicides. We know that 3/4 of suicides are by men, and there have been signals within our data that showed that Eastern Europeans living in our area had a higher suicide rate as well. So they were two areas that we really focused on designing our awareness raising content to really talk to that community and the people around that community who could support them. And that even included translating materials into Lithuanian, Romanian and Polish to make sure that communities who weren't English speaking as a first language had the access to material that other people were able to benefit from via our website and other sources. So that was 2020 to 2021. And then we moved into kind of the next phase of the campaign in September 2021. So after the end of the financial year last year and into 21-22. So we've been really fortunate over the past several years to have the support of gaming company Jagex, who operate in Cambridge and are responsible for the game RuneScape, if any of you are aware of that. So they've been a big supporter of CPSL Mind over the past several years, and in particular Stop Suicide as part of that. So we worked alongside Jagex to develop a new animated film, which in just a few minutes talks people through the steps to try and talk to somebody about suicide and keep them safe. So in a bite-sized format to provide those messages to equip people in our community at a basic level of how to approach that conversation. As I said, that launched in September, and I'd just like to share that film with you now, so you can have a look before we talk about how things have even moved on since then. So I'm just going to share that film for you now.
We all face difficult times, and an estimated 1 in 5 of us will have suicidal thoughts at some point in our lives. Suicidal feelings can be very hard to talk about. They can leave you feeling hopeless and isolated. But there are warning signs that we can all look out for in others, such as significant changes in behaviour or expressions of hopelessness and despair. It can feel scary to say the word suicide, but if you're concerned about someone, asking directly about suicide in a compassionate way is the right thing to do. Asking directly about suicide can really help a person feel supported, and don't worry, asking directly won't encourage someone to start thinking about suicide if they weren't already having suicidal thoughts. If that person is feeling suicidal, then you can use the Stop Suicide Ask acronym to guide you through the next steps. Our first impulse, when faced with the situation, is to find a solution. But just actively listening to someone tell their story in their own time is likely to bring them relief. The next step is to work together to plan how to keep the person safe. Most people who are having suicidal thoughts are not at immediate risk of suicide. But if you feel that the person's life is at risk right now, then call 999. Working together on a simple, written safety plan can be a useful way to support someone. This includes agreeing steps to keep the person safe right now, such as contact with helplines and other professional services. Also, supporting the individual to have open conversations with trusted family and friends about how they are feeling, and agreeing positive activities that they can do that will help them to relax. Agreeing ways to remove dangers which could cause harm, and substances such as drugs and alcohol is also important. Developing this plan together in a collaborative way, rather than taking over, is key to ensuring the safety plan does what it's meant to do, helping to make the person feel safe and supported, even in times of crisis. Asking someone directly about suicide and supporting them to find ways to stay safe is a potentially life-saving intervention. But it doesn't make you responsible for what happens next. It's really important to know your limitations and be kind to yourself. Looking after yourself after supporting someone who is suicidal is vital. Find ways to relax and de-stress that work for you, such as the 5 ways to well-being. Remember, next time you think someone might be feeling suicidal, just ask. For more resources and training to help stop suicide, please visit stopsuicidepledge.org.
Okay, thank you for watching that film. So that now informs the next stage of our campaign, which has been running since the beginning of March, which is our Asking Saves Lives campaign. And you can see we've pulled the Ask acronym into this campaign to stick with that theme. And the film is very much still prominent in what we're trying to share with people. We've been trying to really live the values of the new strategy, which are carried through from the old strategy in terms of that innovation to find new ways to engage people, that inclusivity in terms of using different resources in different languages, and that influence in terms of trying to influence our community to address the stigma and to get people equipped to use the skills, and also influence the different organisations that we work with to use this approach as well, to make sure that our community is well prepared. So that's taken us into this stage of the campaign, which is, as I said, running currently and has been running since the start of March. And what we're trying to achieve now with the funding that we've been able to secure for this part of the campaign is some of this public advertising that we've done previously, but trying to always find new engaging content and engaging ways to do that. So we've got new graphics, we've got some new films, which I don't have time to show you today, but you can visit our website and the Stop Suicide YouTube channel if you want to take a look. And we've been doing public advertising through social media and through bus stops and screens outside supermarkets, and all of that type of thing to really get the message out to the community in general. And we've also been doing a lot of targeted approach as well with different organisations in our community, particularly in Peterborough, who are working with people who might be facing challenging life circumstances, which could put them at more risk of experiencing suicidal thoughts. So that includes things like debt and financial worries, housing concerns, drug and alcohol abuse, all of those different types of elements, food banks. And what we're trying to do is to equip the people who work and volunteer within those organisations with the right training to be able to support people that they come into contact with. And also we have on offer some funding, some small grants that we can provide to those organisations to aid their efforts, to keep the people that they work with well and to support them. So Kate and her team and Kerry have been doing a fantastic job with training a large section of our community. And I think we're already at something like 200 people trained, or at least have that many booked in to be trained. And we're hoping to exceed that even further and to get as many people as possible equipped in that way. And we're just sorting out the funding, the small grants at the minute, to try and get those to the organisations who can benefit from those the most, particularly in the wake of the COVID pandemic and the situation that people find themselves in now with cost of living and those kind of concerns. These organisations are seeing increases in their work in terms of some of those challenges. We want to support them to support the well-being of those that they do come into contact with. So if you have any organisations that you work with or that you're aware of that you think could benefit from the work that we're doing, please do put them in touch with me or the team and link us up or direct them to our Stop Suicide resources. And so yeah, that's the work that we've been doing. And I want to say thank you to Natalie, Alex and Isabel within our team as well for all the work that they've done on this and our communications in general. And I just wanted to leave you with this quote, which is the type of impact that we strive for within the campaign and that we do get through from people. And it really summarises what we're trying to achieve. So this says, I wanted to let you know that recently a friend of mine has been having suicidal thoughts, and Stop Suicide made me feel comfortable to ask them about this and support them with a safety plan. They said that since I asked about this, they do not feel as alone. I'd never have thought I'd need to ask someone I know personally about this. And I think that's quite a common theme, that people don't think that it necessarily applies to them or that they'll find themselves in that situation. But we know that suicidal thoughts are a lot more common than most people think they are, and that people do feel uncomfortable about having that conversation. So wherever we can, we're trying to break that stigma and get people prepared to have those conversations as this person did, to keep people safe. And yeah, we're really, really proud of what we're doing. And thank you for listening to me and for taking the time to have a look at the campaign. And yeah, if you want to have a look at anything more, then please go to stopsuicidepledge.org or get in contact with me, and I'll be happy to talk to anyone who wants to know anything else.
Thank you, Rob. And I know how hard and how tirelessly you work on this agenda. And so, you know, it's heartfelt thanks really about all of your work leading this and to the rest of your team. But I know you do so much too. And it is, yeah, such an important message and such a powerful message. So thank you. I'm going to move us on now to look at some more of our community work. And we've been working in the Peterborough community with the Muslim community in partnership with the Lantern Initiative. So I'd really like to welcome Emily Gray, Deputy Chief Exec of CPSL Mind, and Safira Horton, Managing Director of the Lantern Initiative, and Sadia Zafar, Perinatal Project Worker here at CPSL Mind, to share our work on the Connecting Muslim Mums project.
Thank you, Kate. So I'm Emily Gray. I'm the Deputy Chief Executive, as Kate said, of CPSL Mind, and I'm thrilled to be here to tell you a bit more about connecting Muslim mums. I'm not sure if Sephora is actually with us or not yet. I think maybe because we're running a bit ahead of time. I don't think she's here. Please do make yourself known if you are, Sephora, but hopefully she will join us, and you can have an opportunity to hear from Sephora as well. But to kick us off, oh, sorry, it won't let me move on to my next slide. Bear with me. Why won't it let me move on to my next slide?
You may need to take it down and put it.
It's fixed itself, as these things sometimes do. Fantastic. So to give you a bit of background to this project, we secured some funding from the Department of Health and Social Care to design and deliver a new service focusing on the wellbeing needs of pregnant women and new mums from our local Muslim community in Peterborough. This project is very much a partnership and is delivered by us at CPSL Mind alongside the Lantern Initiative and a wide range of local community partners. Just for those of you who aren't aware, the perinatal period is defined as the time period between moment of conception and when the baby is up to 2 years after birth. And we know that can be a particularly challenging time for lots of mums. So I was hoping Sephora would be here to tell you a little bit more about the Lantern Initiative. But in the meantime, the Lantern Initiative are a grassroots community organisation based in Peterborough, and they do some incredible work educating and raising awareness of mental health issues within the Muslim community through workshops and events and an excellent social media page, helping to reduce the stigma around mental health and empowering the community around having conversations, signposting, sharing of information and making referrals. I think the real strength of the partnership work with the Lantern Initiative has been us both bringing our respective superpowers. So at CPSL Mind, we're quite very experienced in delivering community perinatal mental health services. And we're also experienced in co-design and co-production approaches. And for us, what the Lantern Initiative brought was really crucial knowledge and understanding around faith and culture, around our local Muslim communities and how best to engage with our local communities. It's absolutely fair to say that we could not have got this far in the project without that excellent partnership with the Lantern Initiative. And there have been incredible amounts of learning for us as an organisation that we will continue to benefit from into the future and to use the learnings from that to expand to inform wider project delivery in the future. Kate, if Sephora does join, just give me a nudge, would you? So I'm not leaving her out. So why did we decide to deliver this project? Well, we know that women from Asian communities, from Muslim communities, but especially Asian communities, are disproportionately less likely to access local perinatal community mental health support. And there's a lot of evidence to back that up. In Peterborough, we have a large Muslim community. You can see there at the last census 10 years ago, is nearly 10% of the population in Peterborough, but that isn't reflected in the individuals that we're seeing access our community perinatal service. As you'll see there, since 2013, we've worked with over 450 women and a very, very small percentage identified as being from a Muslim community. So we know that our service is not representative of our local communities. And we really wanted to really listen to Muslim women and to our local communities to understand why that is, and to identify ways to improve trust and engagement within the community. As I mentioned, we do have a well-regarded, well-established perinatal service that we've been running in Peterborough for a long time. We know that there's a lot of benefit to that model, and we wanted to redesign that model to include faith-based content and culturally appropriate language delivered by members of the community, and to ensure that the content and the courses and the service is completely inclusive and accessible. This sort of project hasn't really been done before, so it's also about developing evidence-based good practice and for us to share learnings and our experience with partners and external organisations. So what's our approach to co-production and co-design? So we created a co-design team that was made up of 8 peer designers. We were absolutely overwhelmed with interest in becoming a peer designer. We actually had 50 applications, and peer designers are Muslim women with experience of motherhood and a willingness to share their experiences. And we were, as I say, overwhelmed by the interest and the engagement in that post. And what that meant was that we were able to recruit peer designers from a really, really wide range of different backgrounds and ethnicities. You know, there is no one Muslim community. There's an enormous amount of diversity within that. And it was really important that we had that representation. We also recruited a team of project workers to join that co-design team, and you'll be hearing from one of our project workers shortly. And that co-design team attended 5 co-design workshops using Mind's service design toolkit, which we have a bit of experience in using here at CPSL Mind, and completed ethnographic research with 24 Muslim women and 6 local health professionals. That ethnographic research really focused on learning about what's important to individuals, what impacts on their well-being, and how do individuals currently manage it. But crucially, what are their day-to-day lives like? What are their hopes and aspirations for the future? And what were their mental health experiences during the perinatal period? And that helped us collate a huge amount of information and insights and knowledge about different experiences during that period. I would ask Sephora to share the findings from that research here, but I don't believe she is here yet. So unless I hear otherwise, I will continue.
I have sent her a little email, but I think she's on school run.
That's
so
what I
that's
thought.
the tricky thing, I think. So it's such a shame, because I know that she would really love to be here and talk about what we found.
Well, hopefully if she joins, I can come back to her and ask her for her thoughts at the end, because I'm conscious we'd really like her to have a view. So just leading on from that, what we found from that huge piece of ethnographic research and co-design workshops, we collated all of that feedback to identify themes and insights. And those themes and insights centered around these really 3 core issues. So loneliness and isolation is an issue. Time for self-care is important, and the importance of that is possibly not always recognised. And stigma and lack of mental health awareness is still very much there and present within the community and needs to be addressed. So once we'd identified those themes, we looked more deeply at those themes to identify and to really understand more about what's the unmet need behind each of these themes. What are the strengths, skills and assets available to meet those needs using our strengths-based approach, and what potential solutions might there be? We collated all this into our insight report, which sets out those insights, key quotes from interviewees that evidence the unmet need, and then some how can we statements. And I think what we found was that there was so much depth of information coming through that some of those how can we statements are outside the scope of this project, but it's really important still to capture those and to keep on using those as our learnings for the future. So we use those insights to come up with a bit of a design brief of project ideas to test, and have then piloted our service, which we'll move on to shortly. The insight report will shortly be available online. I'm not sure it is available online right this second because it is hot off the press, but we are really keen to share that far and wide. So if you would like to see a copy of that, then please do get in touch, and we'd be really keen to share that.
I've just put the link in the chat, Emily.
Oh, many thanks, Kate. That's fabulous teamwork. So that takes us on to the make phase of the service design process, which is really about piloting something new. And I'm going to ask my colleague Sadia to come in here and talk a bit more about what we're actually delivering to mums in the community. So if you can come in there, Sadia.
Hi, sorry, it just kicked me out.
You're back in.
Yeah. So hello, everyone. So as Emily mentioned, I am one of the project workers who was employed to set up and start deliver the Connecting Muslim Mums sessions. So the aim of these sessions is to give mums a safe space and the opportunity to connect with other mums and to talk to them about the feelings of low-level anxiety, low mood, and the general struggles of motherhood that almost every mother experiences at some point in her journey of motherhood. It also equips moms with a toolkit of self-help coping strategies to help them with their well-being and their mental health. and it gives so the Connecting Mums, which Emily mentioned, has been running for a number of years, the general one. It consists of 6 2-hourly weekly sessions, and the content is built around the 5 ways to well-being. Apart from the first week where we just talk about being a good enough mum, each session talks about one of the chosen 5 ways to well-being, and the activities are based around that. We have changed this, the original Connecting Mum session slightly to cater for the Muslim mums. So we've brought in some Islamic content, and where we're bringing examples from the life of the Prophet of God, talking about how he incorporated the 5 ways to well-being, and what does Islam say about mental health. The meditations have also been changed slightly to bring in Islamic meditations. So as well as the Connecting Mums courses, we have also started offering one-to-one support to Muslim mums who don't feel like they're ready to attend the group sessions, or if their needs are slightly higher. And once they have attended the sessions, or if they don't want to attend the Connecting Mums sessions, there is also the peer support groups, which are a lot more informal. They're led by the mums, where the mums choose the topics and the activities that they want to do. So after the research phase, which was around last summer, we developed and delivered 2 pilot courses. These were attended by 17 Muslim mums who might have experienced maybe mental health issues during their pregnancies or when their children were younger. One of these course was online, and the other one was face-to-face. While the courses were running, we worked closely with the independent evaluators called MEL, where they gathered feedback from the mums and from the project workers on what was working well and where we can make improvements. Overall, the feedback was really good. The mums said they all enjoyed the course, and they kept talking about the need for something like this for all new mums to attend and to talk to each other and connect to each other. Once the improvement that they suggested were to have the project workers talking less and to have less activities and to give the mums more time to talk to each other. And also they wanted to be signposted towards other support that some of them felt that they needed. So based on this feedback, we've changed the sessions to leave more time for mums to talk to each other about their own experiences, about their own feelings, etc. So what we do is in the pilot Keep Learning session, we had a personal trainer talking to mums about nutrition and keeping fit. But we've changed that now, where the mums are talking about eating healthy, or what they're doing to keep fit as busy mums, and also they're sharing healthy recipes each other. So giving the power back to the mums to support each other again. Since the start of the year, we've completed 1 course. So 6 weeks I've completed. We are halfway through our 2nd course, and the feedback that we're getting from those 2 is again really positive. There are some of the quotes there on the screens where they just keep talking about how much they're learning from each other and how they look forward to these sessions. We did some questionnaire at the beginning, at the end of the course, the Recovery Star, and in that it showed overall improvement in all the areas of the lives of these moms, but especially in managing their own mental health, which was really positive for us, and it shows that we're going along the right tracks. And I think the feedback that we've had throughout these sessions, the pilot courses, the 1.5 courses that we've completed, it reinforces the need for this this service for starting well and for reaching out to the Muslim moms, because all of them say they love the fact that there's something for them to attend. And our main focus is now just promoting this service to the whole Muslim community. So we're going out to mosques, we're going out to play groups, etc. Wherever we know that we'll reach Muslim mums, that's where we're going to just reach them and get more mums coming to these courses and benefiting from them. And thank you very much for listening.
Thank you so much, Sadia. Has Sephora joined us? Do we know or not, Kate?
Hi, Emily, I am here.
Ah, hi, Sephora. Sorry, we're running a little bit early, so I had to take over your slides. So I hope that's okay. That's okay. But we'd really, be keen just to hear from you, especially around the partnership work. I was talking about how the strength of the partnership work and us both bringing our respective superpowers and the benefits that we've had from working so closely with you. And I just wondered if you had any perspective on that at all.
Sure, yeah. So first of all, I do apologise if I'm repeating myself, if I say anything that's already been said, but it's been an absolute pleasure to work with CPSL Mind on this project. We have really thoroughly enjoyed, what we've done so far. And, we can see that there's so much more work needed. I think this partnership work is definitely all about bringing in that charity side of things, but marrying it up with the grassroots level work that we've been doing already over the last 6 years or so. And what's been really interesting for us is that the findings from the ethnographic research that we've done match really well with what our own findings have been from the local Muslim community. So we know we're on the right track. We know that there's a lot of stuff we know about the community that we've been able to feed into CPSL Mind and the projects that we're working on together. And it's been wonderful, because I think sometimes just people seeing a name like CPSL Mind, partnering up with us on projects, I think just gives it a bit more of a sort of, it gives it a bit more integrity and a bit more of a reputation. And I think that what we've found, certainly from some of the projects we've done together, is that people are more likely to attend if there is that sort of key, that partnership working, and they've got that big name that they recognise. And even for people who perhaps might have been a bit more fearful about attending mental health events in the past, we've almost provided that hand-holding support, to be able to bring them into CPSL Mind events and things as well. And what we really hope as well through this partnership working is that we will be able to leave the women we work with the message that actually CPSL Mind are doing some fantastic work, and there's no reason why, if you weren't accessing their resources before, there's no reason why you can't access them now. So I hope that we've kind of given them like an introduction and a sort of a push into what CPSL Mind do as well. So yeah, I think those are the main things from me. I don't know if I've missed anything else that I should have said. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Sephora, and we absolutely love working with you and your organisation. So, and already it's worth just a quick shout out for Try and Chat. So we've already used some of the learnings from this project to think about what else can we do in the community. And we've recently, well, actually not so recently now, again launched Try and Chat in partnership with the Lantern Initiative, which is our Good Mood Cafe model, but very much focused on Muslim women, and a bit of co-design going on around there as well. So yeah, lots of opportunities to build on the relationship into the future. So thank you, Sephora. Kate, obviously you've got a hand up.
I just wanted to come in and just acknowledge the support and the guidance that Sephora and the Lantern Initiative have been able to give us in such a way that has been so powerful and so easy for us to ask questions that maybe you feel like, oh, I can't ask that, but actually I'm not sure. And Sephora has been able to really help us with that cultural understanding, which I think is really, really important. And I just wanted to acknowledge that and say how much I've been able to learn personally. And we will be having a lunch and learn, I think, on sort of understanding more about the Muslim faith and looking at our wider services. So watch this space. Thank you.
Thank you. So thank you, Sephora and Sadia, and I'll hand back to Ali now.
Thank you.
Thanks so much, Emily and Sephora and Sadia, and to all our speakers this afternoon. There's been lots of love for you guys in the chat, and I think all of those presentations have been really helpful in seeing the direction we're already going in as we start this new phase of CPSL Mind's journey. So as promised, to finish this afternoon's showcase, we're going to share with you a short film that reflects on our impact and achievements during the 3 years since we launched our last strategy. So this film has been put together by our amazing comms team, and I think it really captures some of the extraordinary achievements across the organisation over the past 3 years, 2 of which, as we all know, have been during a worldwide pandemic. And before we press play and let you see that film, I just want to take this opportunity to say a really heartfelt thank you to everyone who's been involved in our work over that period. It has been a huge team effort, and I hope that watching this film, you feel as proud as I do of what we've all achieved together. So thank you. Rob, if you just press play, please.
Yeah, so I'm just trying to get it to work.
No problem.
Yeah, being behind the scenes has been amazing. It's been astonishing to see how much, reflect on how much has gone on in the past few years. And just want to say thank you to Natalie for trying to squeeze it all into a video, because there's been so much to edit, and this is literally just a snapshot of what we've achieved. So I'm just going to try and share that now, and hopefully this works for you. Can you see that?
Yes, thank you, Rob.
Cool.
We've achieved a lot over the last 3 years, supporting our local communities through extraordinary and challenging times, striving towards our vision of a society in which everyone has positive mental health and feels part of a connected community, all while staying true to our values. We increased the choice and the accessibility of community-based support. We provided opportunities for self-help and peer support.
The whole programme I think is brilliant, and if I could tell every single person about it, I would. I'm trying to. I am trying to.
We empowered people to recognise strengths and realise their potential. We supported the growth of community-led activities that connect residents.
I think with the Good Life Fund, we got more than I was expecting.
We challenged attitudes and behaviours. We increased mental health related skills in our communities.
The main benefits obviously from doing further mental health training and the mental health awareness, the first one would be definitely supporting the staff and the team. So I think a lot of them felt actually really empowered to go and do like a wellbeing plan, and it actually helped them give that time and space for them to think about their own wellbeing, which is really, really important, because we can't take care of patients if we're not taking care of ourselves.
We won awards. And most importantly, we supported thousands of people and reached tens of thousands more.
Knowing that there's people there that will help you, that will listen to you.
It was just reassuring to know that there was this service.
Thank you so much. I've seen that film on several occasions now, and it still gets me. It's and as Rob said, that's just a tiny glimpse of the work that this team has been doing over the past 3 years. On that note, that ends our showcase for this afternoon, and I'll hand back to our chair, Alan Tate.
Thank you very much, Ali, Emily, and all colleagues at CPSL Mind. I think perhaps some colleagues in CPSL Mind who won't know the whole span of the organisation's activities will have really enjoyed that showcase, but I know that trustees and members will have enjoyed it. It's so inspirational, and it's a great reminder as to why we all are committed to the strategy which you set out so effectively in front of us, Ali. So thank you very much to everybody. If there are questions that that strategy brings out, do please bring them forward to Ali or to Emily. But I'm now going to close this AGM formally, and thank you all for your time and participation. Thank you very much.